Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. We return to the story of the notorious Brewster Buffalo and its service in the Finnish Air Force. Previously, we left the pilots of Lentolaivue, or Squadron 24, during the winter of 1942, as they faced increasingly formidable Soviet adversaries equipped with modern, domestically produced and land-lease aircraft. The Finnish Brewster Squadron also began to suffer its first losses to enemy fighters. Despite these challenges, Finnish fighter pilots continued to increase their victory totals. Lentolaivue 24 rarely used its Brewsters for ground strafing missions, which were risky and at best resulted in only the loss of Soviet aircraft, assets that were becoming easier to replace. Nevertheless, the Finns did fly such missions on occasion. On March 4, 1942, Master Sergeant Lauri Nissinen led a 4-aircraft section on an early morning attack against Soviet planes parked at Suihkujärvi, or Shuijärvi. The Finnish pilots discovered 2 SB bombers and an I-16 fighter. During his first attack run, Nissinen's Brewster was struck by machine gun fire from an island nearby. He chose to silence this threat first and succeeded, allowing the attack to proceed without further interference. The unit's next engagement occurred on March 9, 1942. Captain Jorma Karhunen led 8 Brewsters against 10 MiG-3s and a single SB bomber east of Lake Segozero. Sergeant Niels Katajainen recalled spotting the enemy formation at 400 meters and then engaging the bomber, firing at it 4 times. The Soviet SB eventually crashed onto the ice with both engines trailing smoke. Katajainen strafed the downed bomber, setting it ablaze. He then joined the ongoing dogfight with the MiGs, firing a long burst head-on at one MiG-3. The Soviet fighter began trailing smoke, but when Katajainen turned to give chase, he could no longer locate it. Despite experiencing machine gun jams, the Finnish pilots claimed 3 more fighters during this battle, including one shot down by Ilmari Juutilainen, Finland's top ace of the war. However, a Brewster was lost. 5.5 victory ace, Paavo Mellin, was forced to bail out after his engine was damaged by a MiG-3. Mellin landed in deep snow and was found unconscious by a Soviet patrol, saving him from freezing to death. He eventually returned home in December 1944 after a prisoner exchange between Finland and the USSR. In late March 1942, Lentolaivue 24's third flight was deployed south to Imola to support Finnish army operations in the Gulf of Finland. Capturing the island of Suursaari was set as the objective, and a force of 3,500 men began advancing towards the island on March 27th, traversing thick ice. Warrant officer Ilmari Juutilainen seized the opportunity to add to his tally. On a clear day, he and Sergeant Huotari flew the first Brewster patrol at 7 a.m. and soon received a radio warning about incoming enemy aircraft. They soon sighted multiple I-153 Chaikas over Gogland and dove to engage, sparking a fierce dogfight. The Soviets fired unguided rockets intended for attacking Finnish ground forces, but with no effect. Juutilainen described his opponents as experienced pilots who exploited their aircraft's maneuverability with tight turns and vertical maneuvers. Juutilainen eventually managed to get on the tail of a Chaika whose pilot was attempting to evade. However, repeated course changes allowed Juutilainen to hit the I-153 from about 50 meters, sending it crashing onto the ice. Some Soviet pilots then tried to escape towards Lavansaari, making the Finns' job easier. As Juutilainen closed in on another Chaika, its pilot reacted with a sharp turn. Juutilainen was so close he couldn't miss, scoring his second victory of the day. Sergeant Huotari also earned credit for 2 Chaikas. The Finnish ground forces captured the island, and in the aftermath, other Finnish fighter units claimed a large number of Soviet aircraft, leading to a noticeable drop in Soviet air activity in the region over the following months. Juutilainen's 2 victories brought his total to 22, making him the first Lentolaivue 24 pilot to receive Finland's highest military honor, the Mannerheim Cross. The next day, another top Finnish fighter pilot distinguished himself. Lieutenant Hans Wind led a patrol in the Segeja-Nopsa area, eventually confronting some R-5 reconnaissance planes. Wind took the opportunity to secure his 5th victory, earning ace status. Throughout most of the march, Finnish Brewster pilots encountered few Soviet Hurricanes. This changed on March 29, 1942, when the Soviets mounted an attack to eliminate Tiiksjärvi Air Base, the Finnish Air Force's only permanent airfield in the northeast. 7 Hurricanes strafed Tiiksjärvi. The next day, 8 Finnish Brewsters led by Lieutenant Lauri Ohukainen, later known as Lauri Pekuri, surprised 12 Soviet Hurricanes from the 152nd Regiment over the Seesjärvi Isthmus. The Hurricanes were split into 2 groups. Sergeant Heimo Lampi recalled spotting 6 or 7 fighters below at 500 meters and diving in head-on. Despite firing at 2 Hurricanes, Lampi saw no immediate results. Later, attacking another Hurricane at 300 meters, he watched it as it rolled over and crashed. Lampi then identified the second enemy formation and attacked again, but missed on his first 2 attempts. The Soviets then tried to break away, prompting Lampi and Sergeant Koskela to pursue 4 of them. Lampi hit one flying just 80 meters above the ground and saw it crash into the forest, securing his 5th victory. Finnish pilots claimed 8 Hurricanes in this battle. Lampi commented that the Soviets initially fought well, but once they chose to retreat, they didn't even try to evade Finnish attacks, making themselves easy targets. Lentolaivue 24's final major engagement of 1942 winter season took place on April 6th, as the Soviets targeted Tiiksjärvi Air Base again. The enemy force comprised 7 SB bombers, escorted by 18 Hurricanes, and was spotted by ground observers. 8 Brewsters already on patrol were directed to intercept, eventually finding the enemy at 3:25 p.m., about 20 kilometers from Tiiksjärvi. 2 of the Brewsters attacked the bombers, while the rest, led by Lauri Ohukainen, engaged the fighters. Master Sergeant Eero Kinnunen reported firing on several fighters and witnessing one crash after trailing thick smoke. Kinnunen then chased another Hurricane, firing from 100 meters and closing the distance before shooting again. The Soviet fighter began smoking and eventually crashed. Lauri Ohukainen shot down his first fighter as the formation approached within 5 kilometers of Tiiksjärvi, hit his second target at 800 meters altitude, and brought down a third after a low-level chase. Although the aircraft crashed, its pilot survived and was taken prisoner. In addition to Ohukainen's 3 and Kinnunen's 2 claims, 3 further victories were credited to Lauri Nissinen. Official Soviet loss records show 1 SB bomber from the 80th Regiment was shot down, and fighters lost included 2 Hurricanes from the 609th Regiment and 4 from the 667th. The Soviets claimed at least 7 Brewsters destroyed in the air and 4 on the ground, but Finnish reports indicate that only a single Brewster was damaged. Lieutenant Lasse Kilpinen was wounded in the leg by return fire from an SB bomber, but still managed to shoot it down. Following these lackluster results, the Soviet Air Force suspended offensive operations, and Brewster pilots did not face them again until early June. Let us know in the comments what you think of this series, and if you'd like to see more Finnish Brewsters in action. Thank you for watching Showtime 112.